The CBR600RR is back. Honda is bringing this beautiful bike back to the road, and in this video I tell you what it can do. Stay tuned. Until 2017, it was well represented on our roads, the Honda CBR600RR. A bike loved by many riders, it was known for its handling, very reliable engine and pleasant riding performance. In 2017, the time came for Honda to choose whether or not to homologate the engine according to Euro emission regulations, as it is always a big effort for a manufacturer, and so the decision was made to withdraw it from the market. Now that some time has passed, the market situation has changed, especially since young people are again starting to turn a bit more towards motorbikes. So the decision was made to go back into the 600cc market because there was a lack of competition, and they continued to work here. And now they have presented us with a completely revised CBR600. Let's take a look at the improvements in detail. Let's start with the engine. The engine now has 121 horsepower and 63 Newton meter. This is about the same performance it had before the upgrade. However, it must be said that it now even meets the new Euro 5 Plus standard with these performance figures. And this is truly remarkable, given the extremely strict limitations and restrictions that the manufacturer has to comply with. And that, combined with the performance we had before, with less severe restrictions from the Euro standards, is already a good performance. In addition, it leaves the factory equipped with an anti-hopping clutch. For those who don't know what that is, it is a clutch system that allows you to downshift very sharply or aggressively when the clutch is released quickly. And without the system, the rear wheel tends to jump very easily, hence the name. On the track especially, the anti-hopping clutch helps given the aggressive braking you do, but also many gear changes so you can downshift very smoothly, and the rear tire can constantly follow the road. This supports the stability of the bike and helps when decelerating and downshifting at the same time. Another element that has changed in the engine are the throttle bodies. We now have a diameter of 44 millimeter, which obviously allows a lot more fresh air into the engine. This is favorable for the engine when running fast. It has to be said that 600 cubic centimeter engines are generally optimized for high RPM use. Because of the limited displacement, you cannot expect very high torque at low revs, but it does offer very good power over a very wide range. Performance is very pleasant, especially for the track, and the fact that you manage to maintain this in combination with the Euro standard is really remarkable. What else has changed in the engine? We have a different ignition timing. The water flow has been optimized. The water pipes run closer to the hot parts, especially in the cylinder head. This allows a better heat transfer from the hot parts to the water circuit. It is completely new. A new exhaust system has been fitted, which obviously contributes a lot to meeting these new standards. Many changes have been made. I was talking to the engineers just now. So the exhaust system, which before was just a bent pipe, is now almost a work of art. And it's no longer so easy for the aftermarket to overcome something like that, to generate more power without excessive noise. And here they have succeeded very well. The layout of the exhaust system, in particular the rear silencer, has been placed under the seat again, which I like. It is reminiscent of days gone by and also offers good functionality. This way you have a lot of free space, you can build the bike very tight, and you don't have the problem of having to place the silencer on the side being in the way. So I think it's a very compact solution, and I'm glad they went back to the old values. The next part where a lot of work has been invested is, of course, the electronics. A lot has been done here. The predecessor had rather rudimentary, very simple features. On this one, instead, a lot has been taken from its bigger sister, the CBR1000 Fireblade. The motorbike's dashboard has been used, and the way the information is displayed on the dash is very reminiscent of the Fireblade, and all the adjustment options are also very similar. Now we have traction control inside, engine braking inside, and even wheelie control. Of course, we also have an ABS system here. However, this cannot be adjusted in different modes. In other words, as you know from the Fireblade, only one mode is available here, which is used for track and street. There is also an electronic gearbox up and down. This, in combination with a slipper clutch, is fantastic because the slipper clutch ensures that when downshifting in a sporty manner, the load peaks are still filtered out and the bike remains stable on the brakes when downshifting. So this combination worked very well. Let's move on to the chassis of the bike. Again, a lot of work went into this. We have a frame that has been modified and has become lighter, including the swing arm. The swing arm alone weighs 150 grams less than its predecessor. So a lot has been done to save weight. In this sense, it was possible to save around 6 to 7 kilos on the bike compared to its predecessor. And in light of all its features, a weight saving is incredible. Some changes have also been made to the stability of the chassis. A little more flexibility has been added here. This not only offers better feedback, but also a smoother ride, and I would say more composure and feedback from the tires. Speaking of suspension, let's talk about that for a moment. We have Showa's big piston fork at the front, which is fully adjustable. Also at the rear, we have a Showa shock absorber, which is fully adjustable. We have tires that are 120 wide at the front and 180 wide at the rear with a 5.5-inch rim. This is actually a very good compromise, as we already know from the past. And with this 5.5-inch rim, you can fit bigger tires. This is a very good compromise, especially for slicks. The trend is to fit slightly wider tires, and this rim allows this. For the brakes, a 4-piston radial caliper was once again used, combined with a radial master cylinder for the front brakes that works perfectly. Yes, with a 310 diameter brake disc at the front, you get a very good compromise. Of course, this is a very good package, which also worked well on the track. The next point on which a lot of work has been done is the fairing and aerodynamics. As you can already see, they have also fitted the fins. They have also done a lot of work on the aerodynamics, taking into account the rider so that the rider is well integrated into the airflow. The value is said to be the lowest in the category of these motorbikes. And when you sit in the vehicle, you realize that you are very well integrated into the riding dynamics, especially with regard to the airflow. For all those who want something more, there are of course nice tuning kits from HRC. There are special parts for the engine that provide a slightly higher compression ratio and also allow the electronics to be set slightly differently. There is also a different exhaust system and a different water supply so that the engine can cope with the increased power. The most important thing is the way it rides. As you can maybe see in the background, we had a bit of mixed conditions. It was very wet, but it wasn't so bad because we were able to test the bike in different conditions, and this showed that the bike has good all-round characteristics. Let's start perhaps with what impressed me most about the bike. The riding position. I had to get used to it quite a bit. I couldn't hide behind the fairings and my elbow almost touched my knees. This position is very tiring for me on the track, and for those who are shorter, it may not even be a problem. Otherwise, the riding position is reasonably comfortable, even for normal road riding, because it is not extremely forward-leaning. As far as power delivery is concerned, the engine has been modified a lot, and it is fair to say that in the mid-range, where emission regulations and all the standards come into play, the engine is sluggish. More precisely, the engine wakes up from 9,000 RPM and from 10 or 11,000 pushes hard up to the limiter, which is above 15,000 RPM. And that is very impressive. The brakes were really very good, especially the ABS was really useful in the wet. It also worked very well in the wet. We then rode a little bit in the dry, and I have to say that I miss the performance of the ABS a little bit. You can feel the difference. I must say it works very, very well in the wet, even on the track. In dry conditions, in track mode, you can turn off the rear wheel lift detection, for example, because of course it takes away a lot of braking performance. You always want the bike to remain stable and the rear wheel to stay on the ground, and that is exactly what the rear wheel lift detection does. But of course you lose deceleration performance. It would be nice to have an additional mode that could deactivate this function, as is the case with the Fireblade. Perhaps a brief word about the electronic gearbox. From first to second gear, it is a bit clumsy at times, especially at high revs, but otherwise it did its job well today. The suspension in the wet did a very good job. In the dry, I would like to have a little more damping and maybe 1 or 2 more settings on the spring for track use. For a normal road rider, I think it's enough that they managed to combine sportiness and ride comfort relatively well, and for that I think it's basically a success. To sum up, I have to say that personally I am very happy to have a superbike here. Many have already retired from this class. It used to be one of the most popular motorbike classes in general, and also strongly represented in racing. The super sport class has always been the measure of everything, along with the superbikes. Now Honda is bringing it back to us in a big way at a price of €12,000. Now I'm looking forward to Adam Child's opinion. It's always exciting to get different expert perspectives.
Welcome to a not so beautiful Portimao, but interestingly, as everybody shrugged their shoulders and felt slightly disgruntled of the poor conditions, I quite actually liked the wet, and it gave us the opportunity to test the rider aids. Now, back when the CBR600 was discontinued, which was 2016-17, we had no lean sensitive traction control, we had no lean sensitive ABS. Now, as we move into 2024, this has got a 6-axis IMU and has got lean sensitive traction, lean sensitive ABS, we've got a quick shifter, and we've got different power modes. So yes, it was wet, but we've got that safety net working in the background, rescuing the slide when you dial in a little bit too much power. The ABS you could feel working at the end of the straight. And it just meant you could enjoy a CBR600 in pretty poor conditions in relative safety. Now you could never do that on the old CBR600 because you had a throttle and you just kind of went for it. And I know there's going to be lots of people going, I don't need rider aids on a 600. But honestly, when they're this good, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go rock climbing without freaking ropes? You know, why wouldn't you have rider aids? And if you want, you can turn them off. If it had been dry this afternoon, we were running slick tyres, we could have turned them off. But to have them, it's invaluable. Really, really enjoyed it. Yes, the CBR looks very much like the old bike. It's got very much similar frame, similar power. It's been tweaked here and there. But having a very similar bike to a bike that was so phenomenal, that dominated racing, that dominated at the TT and still was like last year and the year before, then that's a good thing. Honda are not copying a bike that was a dog. They're just copying a bike that they didn't want to get through Euro 4. The demand wasn't there. But now with Euro 5 Plus, they've got it through. And with Euro 5 Plus, they've simply fitted a different exhaust and changed the fueling. They've not dropped loads and loads of power. It's the same as what it was. And that can only be a good thing. In the UK, the price is just over £10,000, which I think is pretty reasonable. The Fireblade's like 23, and we were chatting to the riders earlier on going, you could have one CBR600 for the road, one for the track, and still have a bit of changeover for a couple of track days. Personally, I've always loved 600s. They're so unintimidating, so easy to ride, you can carry more speed, and you can just have great fun. Thank you, Honda, for the invite. Thank you, Honda, for bringing the CBR600 back out into this class. I think it looks spectacular, it feels brilliant. I love the fact we've got these rider aids now that means we can enjoy a bike in these poor conditions. Big thumbs up for me. Can't wait for the group test. It's going to be interesting when we put it against the other bikes because you've got the MV, Kawasaki have come out with the new ZX6. So it'll be interesting when we put it in with the other bikes in this class, and I can't wait to see it being ridden by John and Dean and everybody at the Northwest in the TT. But thanks, Honda. If you could just deliver one to the house for next week, that'd be great.
Adam, thank you very much for your impressions. Your feedback was very helpful. I appreciate your time and effort. The bike is a lot of fun on the track, ideal for beginners. It's also a great bike that comes with a very complete electronics package. So when you consider the whole package, I have to say it's a really good product, and I'm glad it's back on our roads. I hope I have given you some useful advice. Greetings from Portugal, and see you next time.